Mark, Mark Lindsay, and in Arizona. Let me say hi to Kelly. Let me say hi to Kelly in Tennessee for Mark Lindsay in Arizona, man. We've got our locals. We've got our locals all over, man, and it's a good thing. Our locals are everywhere, and certainly you're our people, and this is your radio station, and a reason that we're running late on the show today, and certainly well worth it. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. We did an interview with Elton Rohn from Canada, and he is the premier Elton John tribute act in this nation. That good. And I will say this. I told you before, if you go to the YouTube channel and see some of these electrifying performances, they are that good. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome Elton Rohn into the studio, just out of one car, coming in from Binghamton, New York.
Yes.
And jumping into that. This is our Uber service. Leave it to Steber. So
Yeah. That's great. He works for tips.
he does work for tips. That's all we. That's all we pay him. We pay him in bourbon and barbecue. That's all we pay him. But Elton Rohn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
What a resemblance. Those of you that are on Facebook Live, we're going to tag Elton's fan page as well. But what a resemblance,
I know.
right?
Yeah, I get it a lot. Like when I'm out, we were in. I'm trying to think. I was on holiday in Chicago, and this really nice lady comes up again, just at the light. She goes, "You look like you look like and I went, yeah. She goes, no, you look like Elton. And she goes, yeah, you look like Elton. And she gives me a big hug.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
I get it a lot.
I mean, that is, to be able to, resemble somebody,
I know.
and then being able to sing.
Yeah. There's like three things you have to do really well. You gotta look like him.
Yeah.
You gotta sing like him, which is the hardest part.
Yeah, right.
And you really have to play the piano.
Yeah.
Pretty well to do it.
Right.
And then the other thing that kind of goes with all that is his mannerisms, right? So when I play, people say it's like watching Elton like in his youth.
Yeah.
When I play.
I noticed that. I noticed that with the YouTube videos that I saw before my Dave the Bookie, my publicist, and then got in touch with you guys.
Yeah.
And when both Kevin and I looked at these YouTube performances, I mean, when I say electrifying, I mean, and that's how you can couple it up with Elton John. And I had the opportunity to see him and Billy Joel separately and together. And when you see what you do with him, is just
it's uncanny, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Well,
do you study it? Did you?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm a guitarist. I was a guitarist growing up, and my dad took me to so many concerts. And one day he brought home an Elton John album, and I just fell in love with it. And I played all the guitar parts on the album, and I used to pretend like I was in Elton's band. So at that point, I knew all of the intricacies of the songs playing on guitar. And then finally, after so many years, I bought myself a piano. And I said, I'm just going to teach myself how to play it. And the way I did it was I listened to all the Elton John albums. Now, Elton plays very percussively, so there I am playing all Elton songs that I already knew on guitar. So now it's just taking my minors and my major chords, and it didn't take me that long. And after a while, I had like 20, 30 Elton John songs under my wing. And I always knew I sounded like him when I sing. I just knew it. I had the inflection in my voice exactly like he did. And because I enjoyed his stuff so much and I was such a big fan of his, every time he had a record come out, I knew it in like a day. I was one of those kids that would run to the record store back when we had 45s, and I'd pick up the 45, or I'd call my dad at work and say, Dad, could you bring me home the album? It comes out tomorrow. And he'd bring me home Captain Fantastic, or whatever he would bring home. And I would like listen to it every day for like a month.
Yeah.
Until I just knew every single note on the album. And then when I play piano now, it doesn't matter what kind of music I play like Elton John, because that's the way I learned. I taught myself to his style. It's a very pound the piano. You have lots of movement in your body. You don't sit straight. It's not classical playing. Right. It's the only way I know how to play. I didn't know all these years later I'd be Elton John on stage. But now I can put it all together. I mean, I got the look. I sing like him. I play piano like him. There was a couple of photos somebody took. If you go to our fan page, just some cell phone pictures of me on stage in Chicago, and I wore a Chicago Cubs sequin baseball jersey. And I came out, and there's a picture that I had to look at a couple of times because I thought for a second she posted the real guy. And I looked, I said, geez, that's me. And I said, I really do look just like him in this picture.
Yeah.
So I reposted, I said, that's what you see when you come see us. It looks just like Elton.
Yeah, it's really amazing. The uncanniness is and like you said, the mannerisms that are on stage are just so on point. Tonight, we're talking about the venue, Penn's Peak.
Yeah.
Great venue. I don't even think you had. I mean, I'm sure you saw it online, but you didn't even get a chance to. You didn't even get a chance to probably even get inside the venue.
Well, here's what we did. We played Atlantic City. We played Atlantic City like 3 years in a row.
Okay.
And I had Googled venues in the area because I was always looking for a chance.
Yeah.
To get something between Atlantic City and home in Toronto.
Okay.
You don't want to go down for one show. So
Okay.
I was looking for venues. And Penn's Peak popped up. So
Right.
I looked at this venue and I went, Jesus,
Yeah.
look at this venue. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I looked at all the people that are playing it. So I was in touch with them a couple of years ago. And the only date they had was the day I was playing in Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Because they book a lot of really good acts in there.
They do.
So I
do.
get it. They get kind of the priority, and then when a few open up, they call me and they say, "Well, we might have a couple of dates here." Nothing would gel with when we were in Atlantic City. So on the way home from Atlantic City, when they didn't have a date for us, we stopped off and had lunch at Rhodey's. And they turned on the lights and they showed us the venue.
Mm-hmm.
So then one day out of the blue, I got an email, and Craig at the
Yep.
venue said, how'd you like to come down and play? I said, I didn't care if I had another. I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
So if we had something else, I would bump it.
Yeah.
But it's been crazy. We went to Calgary. We sold out 2 shows at Stage West. We went to Myrtle Beach and played the Alabama Theater. We went to Chicago, played Rosemont. We got over 6,000 people, their largest crowd of the summer in the park.
Wow.
Then we played Park Theater in Michigan, sold that out. Now we're playing here. Then we go home and play the Canadian National Exhibition, and then we fly to California and play the Lodi Grape Festival, and then I get to sleep for a couple of days.
No kidding, man. I'll tell you what. How many days are you on the road?
Yeah, I haven't counted it. I think we do we only do about 40 dates a year.
Wow.
So some of our guys work full time.
No
it's
kidding.
It's really hard for them. They get about 20 holidays a year, so I have to juggle their holidays with our dates. I have agents that want to put us on the road for 2 and 3 weeks at a time.
Oh, I'll bet.
And at this point, I can't do it.
Right.
I mean, there's been talk about, maybe you need a U.S. band and a Canadian band, but trust me, when you see our band, I don't want to break it up.
Yeah.
They're so good.
No.
Our players are, I have not seen better players in a tribute band. My guys, I can just sit and listen to them play all day.
Yeah.
And some of my guys, my guitarist actually filled in. We had a big concert up in Canada for Ronnie Hawkins' birthday, and we had a very famous guy, I don't know, Jeff Healy was playing guitar, and all these, Jerry Lee Lewis was on stage, and they hired my guy to come in and do some overdubs for some guitar parts, and he's played on some really killer albums, and he's my main guitarist, and it's like everybody in my band plays multiple instruments. My bass player can play keyboards, my keyboard player can play bass or guitar, my percussionist is also a drummer, a lead singer, and a guitarist. Everybody can jump all over, so when we practice and do sound checks, it's like you just jump on an instrument, and the guys are that talented.
Man, that is.
When you see them, people are gonna freak.
A little later on tonight, man,
Yeah.
Penn's Peak, the place to be for the Premier Elton John tribute, and it's going to be a great. What a show, man! What a show it's going to be, man! I talked to 2 people this morning, 2 females that are all excited,
Yeah.
and I mentioned it to them, and they're both going. So they were totally stoked with this whole
And
thing.
here's what happens. See, the women are totally into it.
Yeah.
Because they love Elton. The
Yeah.
guys are kind of cynical. They're like, yeah, okay. They're expecting some guy to come out and sing Nikita or something, right? That's what they think. And I think the best quote I ever got after a show is this guy posted on Twitter. He said, I first thought, oh, just what we need, another Elton John, ... And then I saw the show, and it's like, oh, wow. Another Elton John! Exclamation point. That's what he put.
No kidding.
Yeah, and he came up and he said, I can't believe it. He said, you're like watching another Elton John.
Yeah.
And I went, well, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to wear the duck outfits and the
Yeah.
and the boas and try
Right.
to be an impersonator.
Right.
I'm trying to show people this is what Elton John was like in the 70s. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
You know, because I saw the Yellow Brick Road tour. I saw him and I went, there was nothing like it in the world when this guy did that. So I said, when people come out of our show, I want them to be wowed.
Yeah.
And if you look at the comments, we have testimonial pages on our website when people, you know, they post a lot of stuff.
Saw them.
It's always the same. It's always the same reaction. People say, "Oh my God!" So it's like it's incredible how close it sounds to Elton John.
Yeah,
It really does.
It is. It's an amazing performance that'll happen tonight at the peak, and you know the acoustics in there as well are absolutely
I can
amazing.
imagine.
Oh my God, they're amazing. I mean, it's one of the best venues on the certainly on the Eastern Seaboard for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
we have
really
our
cool.
we have our HD video show with us with big backdrops. I mean, I have artists from all over the world that are fans of our band. So what I did was through Facebook, I connected with, like, for instance, the first guy I found was this guy in Spain, and he did this incredible sketch drawing of Marilyn Monroe. Now I can't use pictures of Marilyn Monroe. I don't have the rights to it, or I'd have to pay a fortune to get a picture. So I asked him. I said, Your drawing of Marilyn is fantastic. I explained to him our show. So we use it in our show. I have his permission. And then we have a photographer in Toronto, his name's John Rowlands. He toured the world. He used to work, my dad gave him his first job in the record industry when he was at CBS Records. So John shot, I think the first band, he was back in the Beatles in Maple Leaf Gardens, but he shot all that. But he did Springsteen and he did some early Elton John shows. So he gave me some of his Elton John photography to use in the show. So we interlace that with other images. And it all runs behind me as we're singing the song. So we take people through his career.
That is amazing.
With creative artwork. I have probably about 15 artists that have donated their artwork, like sketches, creative art. It's really cool. And when they send it to me, I look at it and I went, my God, like, I can't draw to save my life.
Yeah.
I can hardly sign my name. I can play piano, but I can't draw. When these people send me photos of Elton, it's like, man, that looks like a photograph, and they painted it.
No kidding.
So they send me a really nice high-resolution image, and next thing you know, I've got it behind me on a stage, 40 feet wide. And they love it, and I'm like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have all original art in our show. It's really
How cool is that
fantastic.
gonna be?
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really gonna be cool, man. Like totally.
It's really cool.
I mean, the whole thing. You know, it's more than just music for you.
It's an experience. Yeah.
Right.
And every time I come off stage, we have never had a bad show ever. We you know sometimes we'll have shows where the crowd takes a while to warm up. U.S. audiences are generally a little more crazy than Canadian audiences. They're a little bit more laid back up in Canada. Like we just played Chicago. Very first song they were like crazy, and then we went to the Park Theater and they rushed the stage for the first song. In Canada, you got to play for like an hour and a half before they warm
It's
up.
probably because until the cannabis sets in, then they're
It's
ready.
something. You think with all the beer up there or something, we'd be a little bit loose, but when we played Atlantic City, we played there, and they had I think the doors opened at 7, and I don't think we came on till like 8 or 8:30, and they were just hammered by the time we came out. They just drink a lot there.
Yeah.
For a Friday night, we came out first song. All these people were like with their beer, and they're hanging up. I'm like, whoa, here we go. This is gonna be fun.
That's and was it?
Oh, of course. When
Yeah.
people are enjoying themselves, the band just plays better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear that, man. I totally hear that. We're running it wide open on Facebook Live. Let me take a quick break, but like a 3-minute and 13-minute break. And those of you that are on the radio side of things, if you can't get onto the Colossal Radio Facebook page right now, or even the Elton Rohn fan page, where we're running the whole Facebook Live interview, you can go back and watch this one. But let's play this one from Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and the title of that whole album. You probably did this song once or twice, probably.
Which one was this?
Goodbye Yellow
Oh
Brick
yeah,
Road.
yeah. One of my favorite songs.
Let's
Probably my favorite song of all time.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this one right here, man. Right?
Oh,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll be back with Elton Rohn, man. So sit tight, stick around, right? So we're still wide open on Facebook Live. Do we have that front door locked?
No.
Yeah, let's do that just in case we get some streetwalkers in. I am getting like inundated with all kinds of email and
Oh, yeah?
and private messages. It's like,
Oh,
is he
any
going to use
questions?
that keyboard?
Is there any-
I don't know.
Is there any questions or anything they want to?
Yeah, they want to know if you can use the keyboard.
Oh my god.
Oh
I can
God.
That's it.
Yeah. Do chopsticks.
I haven't really got over this cold yet. I'm trying.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not supposed to be talking actually.
For those of you that are on and asking all this, he actually came in with his cough syrup and cough medicine stuff, and I get it, man.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of musical instruments.
I'll be good for tonight.
In and around the studio, right? So with that said, no, you'll see him tonight sing.
Yeah.
But if you want to come down and play the keyboard or play the trumpet or play our, what is that, Phineas?
String.
Phineas and what?
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas Ferb, you're welcome to come down and play that. I found that, so my son was gonna get rid of it, so I picked it up and brought it.
Slightly out of tune.
Yeah, well, just a little, just a little. Lovely show extension. We got some people that are watching it all over the place, man.
If you have any questions,
If there's any questions, man, if you got
Yeah.
questions, let us know. If you got questions, let us know. If not, and you're just happy just to hang out, then that's cool too.
Sure.
What we're gonna do with those of you that are on Facebook Live, Elton Rohn tonight at Penn's Peak. If you're just joining us, awesome show. I want to talk a little bit, so you'll hear it, but also the radio people will hear it. I want to talk about a pretty cool career. You know, when we got off the interview with him, and it's like, wow. So when he talked about his dad bringing home albums, his dad had access to all these albums before really anybody, and we'll tell you that story coming up for those of you that don't know it.
I got some funny stories.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk about it. I will tell you the humbleness and gratefulness when I even did that phone interview. Not my first rodeo at 35 years, man, and you feel that from you, which I'm very grateful. Like I said, to jump out of a car
It must be
after
the
2 hours.
Must be the Canadian thing in this, right?
I hope, man. I would hope it would be that, and everybody else, and just how we are perceived.
Hey,
You know,
we're all in this together, right?
how about it, man?
We're all in this
I
together.
say it all the time.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. We're in it together, you know. And in the end, all we have is each other.
Yeah.
That's it,
That's
man.
it. Might
That
as
is
well
it.
treat each other right.
That is totally it. So, pretty stoked. But no, got a couple of people, even a couple of Call the Cops Karen and other Karens. I don't know why. What is Karens on the show today, man?
Oh, there's a lot of Karens.
But there are a lot of Karens, and they want to know if tonight. We have
Is that the camera there?
that's Elton John.
Yeah.
In the studio, we have
I
Elton
left,
Rohn.
I left my funky glasses at the venue.
Yeah, I know. This is what I
I
said.
got the
You
big.
played last night. You left those in.
We traveled
Binghamton.
last night.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We drove to Binghamton last night.
you drove down.
Yeah.
Drove to Binghamton.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you played there. So
No,
my
it's
bad.
like a 6.5 hour drive.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Another couple hours here. So
Yeah.
We're here.
So you woke up and you forgot. Do you have more glasses?
I got about 50 pair of glasses.
All right,
at home,
okay.
so I got to decide which ones to bring. I had a pair for the interview,
Yeah.
and I left them at the hotel. So we're not used to getting up at like 8 in the morning. So I'll wear some really cool ones tonight. Though I know I've got them already picked up.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
There's a guy now, Elton John, with research that I've done, believe it or not, and he's probably added to this, but at one time in his life, throughout his career, he owned 10,000
Yeah.
plus, am I right? 10,000 plus pair of sunglasses.
And
That's crazy.
Here's the thing.
Where'd he put them?
I heard him do an interview once. They all used to be prescription,
Wow.
and then he said he got his eyes lasered, so that he could buy all his glasses with just regular glass in them. He said because they were really expensive prescriptions. He says even for me, he said
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of glasses. Everything was prescription,
Yeah.
and then you'd have
I
to
did not
change
know
your
that.
prescription. Yeah, and so when he went to the laser surgery, he said it saved me a fortune. I started to laugh.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure he isn't broke, though.
No, he's making more
Yeah.
money now than he's ever made in his life.
No kidding.
He's got like 15 things at the same time. All his plays and all his tour.
Yeah.
He's got a movie. He's got everything at the same time.
Yeah, how about it? And man, it's just, you think of that music. They don't make that music anymore.
Yeah, and his
You know-
songs, they don't sound old.
No.
When they're on the radio, they still work. Some artists, the music starts to date itself when you hear
You're
it.
right.
It's either the production or maybe just the song. Elton's stuff still sounds really good. Like just listening to Yellow Brick Road there, it still sounds every bit as good today as it did when it came out.
It does.
Yeah, it really does.
There is no dateability on that music, and you know, for that reason we're playing a lot of it on Colossal Radio. Some of the things that you know you don't hear that much anymore, or you don't hear radio stations playing a lot of. And you know,
and we get kids coming. Like I mean, I got one email on our fan page on it's the Elton Rohn fan page on Facebook.
Right.
And she said, "I'm bringing my daughter for her first Elton John show. She's a big Elton John fan, and we can't wait for the show.
Right.
So she's gonna come tonight. So I'm gonna do Circle of Life
Oh, that's awesome.
for the kids, right? And it's like for the children and all of us, because it's such a good tune.
Oh my gosh.
And then at the same time, we're gonna go back and we're gonna rock something off Tumbleweed Connection, so these young kids get to hear all this great old Elton John music.
Well, you do it all.
Yeah, we kind of span his whole career.
That's
we do
great.
mostly the 70s.
Right.
You know, we're mostly Yellow Brick Road, Caribou. You know, we'll do some Captain Fantastic if we get requests. We try to do as many requests as we can. Some shows we get too many requests.
Yeah.
But pretty much, and sometimes they throw like a real left field song at us. I think we're doing Sacrifice tonight. We got a request for Sacrifice. I haven't done that in a while.
Wow.
It's a really nice song.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw that in tonight.
That's great.
And you know, we always get Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me and Rocket Man, and we get those all the time.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're gonna do all the hits, and it's gonna be over 2 hours, and we'll do some album tracks. You know, so right with Benny and Jack, you also hear stuff like Grey Seal and some of the cool album tracks.
That is way cool.
Yeah.
You know, Elton Rohn, the Premier Elton John tribute, and you know, get there to see this show tonight at Penn's Peak. As you said earlier on the interview, 40 or so shows a year. That is it at this point. What else do you do? And I want to get into a little background here, which is pretty cool. But what else? What else do you do throughout the year?
My full-time job is I write music for television. I'm an original music composer. I've been doing that for about 15 years. We have a television show up in Canada called Out There with Melissa DeMarco. And we thought it would last about a year and a half. I did a documentary series with her before that. She did an hour-long documentary show on Nia Vardalos, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, who's from Winnipeg, Canada. So she did this thing and she wanted it orchestrated, scored. So I did that for her, and it won some awards down in Los Angeles. She called me up one day and she said, "Listen, I've got she used to have a little 5-minute clip show before David Letterman up in Canada. 3 times a week, she would come on for 5 minutes, tell everyone where to go in the city and what to do. And I think it was called Nightlife. And she said, Ron, I got another show coming. It's going to be a half-an-hour show weekly, once a week. I need a theme song. Can you write me something?" So I said, "Yeah, sure. What do you want?" She explained to me what she wanted. It's called Out There, and she wanted a little bit of a Mary Tyler Moore ending, and all like she had with the big hat going up and stuff. So I said, "Okay, I'll try to write something." She said, "I want it really rocking." So I pulled my guitar out, and I got nothing for like 3 days, right? And I just go down to the studio on the 4th day. I have a home studio in my basement. I go into the studio on the 4th day. I picked up the guitar and I hit this chord, and I started singing to it. And I wrote the theme in a minute and a half.
Get out.
I put it on tape. I sent it to her. She said, "I love it, but we got to make the ending wilder, crazier." So I pulled the guitar out and I brought the wire. I started going crazy. I sent it to her. She goes, "A little crazier, a little crazier." So I extended it. I did a little, wait, what, Ted Nugent crazy? Like, so I go crazy on it. Sent it to her. She goes, "It's perfect."
Right.
And that thing, it's been playing now for, I think we're in our 15th year. And it's like, you know, you get paid for a song you wrote 15 years ago that plays every week on multiple stations.
That's great.
It's like, that's the thing. So I write, our show has lots of music in it, so I get about 15 minutes of music per show. So I spend most of my time in my studio just creating all of this different types of music for the show.
It's amazing.
And then I go out and do Elton.
That's great.
I'm like I've been semi-retired since like I left the record business.
Yeah, 35 years. I haven't worked a day in my life.
Yeah,
So
there
whatever.
you go.
It's like I'm all good with that.
Yeah.
Everybody else, when I say I'm going to work, you know, we get that a lot, right, Steber?
Right.
Like I get to work and they're going, "You're going where?" I said, "To work." They're going, "Where are you going?" I said, "To work."
I got a story for you. Talking about we had a small radio station when I went to the University of Toronto. All right. So at the time, my dad worked for CBS Records, so he used to bring me home the albums before they released. And I would go into our University of Toronto station. A friend of mine had a show on there. And I'd bring them in and we'd play a couple of tracks. So we had things like, nothing really major. We'd get like Dan Fogelberg or whoever it was, the latest and the greatest. Well, one day he brought me home Pink Floyd The Wall. So I showed up at our university. This is like before anybody in Canada had it. He gave me a copy of it, and I said, screw it, I'm going into school with this.
Yeah.
So I went into school. Now, this is how small our radio station was. I said, I just said to Jules was our disc jockey, and I was just his guest. I said, I got the new Pink Floyd. I said, let's do this. Let's pick a wall somewhere in the school, and let's give out clues, and let the people call in, and whoever guesses the right wall wins the album. And they can't have it until the day of release, but it's right here. So we came up with all these clues. It's north of this, but south of that. And then people would call in. This is how small our radio station was. The entire calls for half an hour were two guys going back and forth, guessing walls. That was our radio show. But we had the world premiere of Pink Floyd The Wall, and two guys were listening to the show.
That is amazing.
That's how small the radio
That is
station
amazing.
was.
But that, what you had was pretty impressive, and that, he alluded to that a little bit. When we first talked on the phone a couple of months ago again, the first interview, go back and check it out on the Colossal Radio YouTube channel. We touched base on this. You have, your family, your father, I mean, you have a long career in the music industry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you highlight that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I grew up in the music industry. I'm a twin. My brother and I, ever since we could crawl.
Does he sing?
No, he's a drummer.
Okay.
He's a drummer. Can't sing to save his life.
But they got all the stories.
He
The
was-
drummer's got all the stories.
He was the smarter one of the two, though. He went on to be a lawyer, and then he ended up president of Sony Music Canada. So I'll get into that in a sec. So with these two little guys crawling around the house, and Dad would bring home like Bobby Vinton for dinner or Johnny Cash or whoever we would bring home. This is like the early '60s, and we didn't know who any of these guys were, so we're running all over the place. I do remember when I was really young. The first concert I think we ever saw was Bobby Vinton at the Canadian National Exhibition, and he came to our house for dinner. And Bobby sat on the couch and played bongos, and I don't know how old I was, just old enough to sing, and I sang Mr. Lonely to him with the record. That was the first time I ever sang for someone. It was for Bobby Vinton. And we'd go to the show, and then after that it would be Johnny Cash or Jimmy Dean or whoever would come to town. And Dad would take us to all the shows, and we'd be the kids running around backstage. So we were just always around it. And he brought us home records, and I remember they had a thing at Canadian National Exhibition. It was the history of recorded sound, and all the record companies took out a booth. And we had a CBS Records booth, and at the time we had all of the artists that were playing in the CD would come by for an autograph session. So we had Kansas and Journey and Burton Cummings. And you have Burton Cummings. So they would all come in, and they would autographs, and we were
crazy.
we were like the artificial host. That was the year Elvis died, '77, and the word came out that he died, and one by one all the booths shut down, and there was silence in the place.
Wow!
I was like 17 years old, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this before. It like you went from a colossal amount of music to nothing. It all got shut down.
No.
And then after an hour, it stayed dark for an hour. Everybody came back up, but the RCA booth remained dark for the rest of the CD. And it was really sad that when Elvis passed. But I was working the CD. And every year, I would work for CBS Records. So I would, that year I was at the CD. Then the next year I'd work in their warehouse picking orders. We were unbelievably fast order pickers. In fact, the rest of the people that worked in the warehouse told my brother and I to slow down because we were making everyone look bad. But when I got an order, I would rush around and go, oh, cool, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. Put that in. Oh, wow, Bob Dylan. And I put that. I couldn't wait to go to the next album or cassette to pick it.
Right.
Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, this is cool. Simon and Garfunkel. Wow, I love this. And I put it in. And I used to pick an order in no time at all. So that was back in the day. So I used to love working in the warehouse. And then one year I worked in the accounting department, and they had an audit at CBS Records. So all of the artists had all of their checks audited. So I had to sign a disclaimer that said I would never discuss it. But I saw the checks. I know what Bruce Springsteen made every 3 months. Barbra Streisand and Neil Diamond. Holy, these guys were loaded. This was just out of Canada. So it was like, this is like, we're 1/10 of the US. I'm looking at this check going, holy Jesus, they make what? So I said, I got to do something like this. So that's when I started writing music. And I mean, I'll never be Bruce Springsteen, but oh my God, those checks were pretty healthy. And Pink Floyd checks, whoa. But even some artists that I wouldn't think would make money, you'd be amazed at what some of these people were making.
No
So
kidding.
there wasn't one check for 4 months we did the audit. And I got a whole list of checks, and I got a whole list of like everything that you have to check against it, and there wasn't one discrepancy. So everything was fine. The audit went 100%. But I got all this information up here
No
on
kidding.
how much these guys were making.
Wow.
So fast forward a couple of years, we wanted, after we graduated high school, I said, boy, I'd love to work for a record company. Just, it doesn't look like work. All they do is party all the time, go to shows, and we were talking the other day on Facebook. It's like the anniversary. One of the guys from the Sutton Hotel up in Toronto was talking about the Meatloaf party. They had a party once, and they couldn't make it big enough. He sold 1 million copies in Canada, which was like diamond there. It's platinum here, but we're 1/10 the population, so it was a 1 million seller. So they had this party in the hotel. My dad had to throw it. The president at the time kept saying it's not big enough. You got to make the party bigger. So they had camels and like live animals, and they had like Burton Cummings came in on a bike, Meatloaf came in on a chariot, someone else came in, and they just couldn't make it big enough. And it was the most expensive party ever thrown in Toronto for Meatloaf. And so I'm at this thing going, this is your job to throw a party like this? There's like people everywhere drinking and partying. So I said, I got to do this. So I wanted to join the record industry, and my dad said to both my brother and I, go get your education, because if you do that, you'll be able to go right up the ladder. So I went to U of T. Rick came to U of T for like a year or two, and then he graduated out and he went to law school. And I finished through University of Toronto. I took my time. I played in bands. I had fun. I played on a football team. I did all that stuff. So I took a couple extra years at school. I do the typical 3 or 4 year degree in like 6 or 7 years, and you never leave the pub. One of those degrees. Yeah, so I had one of those. I really enjoyed myself, and that's when I was playing in bands, and I got the urge to start playing. So we come out of it, and at the time CBS didn't have anything. So I called the guy at Warner Brothers, which happened to be, like, at the time, they were the #1 distribution label in the country. And the president said, I don't have anything right now, but maybe if you call me back in 6 months. So for 6 months, I kind of looked for something to do. And 6 months to the day, I called him back. And you know what he said to me? He said, I'm really impressed you called me back. And I said, impressed? I said, why? I want to work there. And he said, no, because most people wouldn't call back. He said, you called back. He said, come on in, I'm going to get you an interview. And I interviewed with the Toronto branch, and I got a job. It was the lowest on the totem pole. I was the guy that used to go into all the stores and put up the posters. But it was the coolest job because I could go in and give everyone tickets to the shows and be their best friend. So I loved it. So I did that for like 6 months, and I think the reason I got promoted out of it was because I was so bad at doing the in-store displays. They had to get me out of that job. But they put me into sales. And I remember the guy, the president for Warner, told me, he said, if you can go to promotion and have fun and hang out with artists, or you can go to sales, and that's how you run record companies. Right. So I went into the sales side. Money was a lot better. Right. And I was like, 21-year-old kid. And you're making really good money. I remember I got a really nice car and a car allowance, and I could afford to go on vacations now. I remember my first cell phone, and I got all this stuff. It all comes at once, right? And I was doing really well as a salesman, and I got some Salesman of the Year awards, and everything was going really well. Rick got a job at Capitol as their in-house lawyer. So he was at Capitol, I was at Warner's, and my dad was at CBS, and we'd have dinners and we'd argue. Of course, Capitol had the Beatles and the Beach Boys. CBS had Michael Jackson and Bruce Springsteen, and I was at Warner's, and we had Madonna and Phil Collins, and like we had everyone. At the time, Warner's was the #1 distribution. So I used to win most of the arguments. So then I did that for 3 years, and then after 3 years, CBS called, and they had a sales position open, and that was the place I always wanted to work. So my dad was there, and I went over and I worked with my dad for a year.
That's cool.
And then after that, my brother jumped from Capitol over to CBS, and it just turned into Sony Music. So we bought them. So the three of us worked together. We called it the Gordie Howe thing. It was my dad and me and my brother. We worked together for 2 weeks before my dad retired.
Wow.
And then he retired. I was in sales. My brother was the lawyer. The new president came in and handpicked me. He says, I want you in head office. I need your knowledge. I need your street knowledge. So they brought me into head office. And then after that, I became the director. I worked my way up to the director of Columbia Records, and my brother became the president of Sony. So I was running the biggest label, and my brother ran the whole thing.
Isn't that amazing?
And that was during the time when the company broke Celine Dion. We had Amanda Marshall. We had Our Lady Peace.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best Canadian roster the company had ever had. We were making money hand over fist. We made so much money off of Celine Dion that I remember that if we didn't spend it, it would have to go back to the New York company.
Wow.
So everybody got like new fax machines, new televisions, new staff. We put in a recording studio in the middle of the building. We put a rehearsal space in the back. We were the only fully integrated Sony building in the world, which meant you could sign an artist, you could record them there, you could print the CDs there. We had a CD printing press.
Wow.
We had a printing press. We could make the CD covers, everything. We didn't have to leave our building to go top to bottom. You could rehearse them in there, and then put them out on tour. We had Our Lady Peace rehearsed for like 2 months in the back of our studio before they hit the road.
Wow.
So our building was like state of the art building, and it was all kind of paid for by Celine, like by her royalties.
No.
So I will
kidding.
never say anything negative ever about Celine Dion. That woman made that record company so much money, and she remained loyal to Canada.
Yeah,
She always did.
She seems too as a very humble person and a very grateful person.
Yeah, I played golf with Rene Angeli.
Oh,
A
okay.
couple times, yeah. And he was he was like, that guy, if he put a ball in the woods, he could buy the golf course, but he'd go in looking for that ball for like 10 minutes. Because it was a Titleist, right?
Right,
He was one of those kind of guys.
Right.
But he was a really nice guy. But he's the kind of guy you'd sit in a meeting, and he'd kill you with kindness, and then you'd walk out of the meeting and say, I can't believe that guy got so much out of me. Because you can't say no to him.
Yeah.
Where some other people come in, like, they come on top really hard.
Right.
He killed you with kindness. And,
Right.
he would say, well, Celine's a priority. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Next thing you know, you're giving them the shop. But
Wow.
he was incredible that way. But, yeah, so we had great years at Sony. I did that for, I was in the record industry 15 years.
That's
I had
great.
a super time doing it. And then all of a sudden, the home taping thing started and the industry started to go down. We looked at each other and said, it's time to come up with our exit plan. So I built my home studio, started writing. I did a couple other things, consulting some things, but I wasn't really happy. I wanted to write. So I started to write my own original music, went out to BC, recorded an album, came back to Toronto. One day my brother, when he left Sony, he ended up working in CanWest Global Communications, which was big media, television, newspapers. Called me up one day and he said, hey, let's get together, man. Let's, like we did when we were kids, let's just go play. Pick a bar, I don't care. We don't care if there's anybody there. Let's just go in and play. We don't need to make any money. So we picked a Sunday. A friend of ours got us into this little local bar, holds 100 people. We go into this bar. My brother's got like the nicest set of drums. He bought a $10,000 set of gold-plated. Remember, he was the president, right? He had him and Neil Peart from Rush were the only two guys that had this drum set.
No way.
Gold-plated DW drums. Fantastic. Nicest looking drums you ever saw in your life. He sent him, I think he only played him twice. He said, so we're in this bar, we're playing, there's like 4 of us, and we're playing any song we can think of. I'm on guitar, Oasis, whatever. We brought a keyboard, and I sat down, and that's when I played Rocket Man for the first time. And
No kidding.
the place like went ballistic.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And then from Rocket Man, a couple tunes later, I'm back on guitar. They said, play another Elton John song. I think I played Daniel. And my brother said, well, why don't we, we got invited back to play the pub next week. You guys got to come back. You guys are really great. Let's do a whole Elton John set. And that turned into, we got invited to play one of the big festivals. Next thing you know, I'm buying sequins to wear and glasses. And
That's amazing.
and then we started, we didn't have a name. We called ourselves Ronnie and the Jets for the first couple of gigs.
Wow.
And then after that, it was like, okay, Rick can no longer do it because he's running big companies.
Mhm.
Like he's doing multi-billion-dollar deals and stuff, and it's like he doesn't have time to go out and do it. So I went out and hired a Cracker Jack band. These guys are pros. And I said, okay, we're going to do a name change. So about 9 years ago, my keyboard player came up with Elton Rohn, R-O-H-N. He said, it's kind of clever. I said, okay, we'll play off my name, whatever, we'll do it. And we became Elton Rohn, the Elton Rohn band. And it's like taken off.
Yeah.
And now it's like, holy Jesus, I'm playing all over North America. I got an offer to go play in Spain, Malta, England, all over. And it's like, I don't even know if I can take the time to go over there and play.
Yeah.
But the interest in the band now it's
Amazing.
It's almost like it's kind of taken over my life.
It's and how long has it been
Playing, and we've been
with
doing
the Elton Rohn band?
only 9 years. Some of these tribute bands I see are like 20 years and more. They're
Right.
we've been 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and we only played bars for like, I think we played less than 1 year in bars.
Wow.
We just tried the material out. We didn't know if we were any good.
Yeah.
I knew we were good, but I didn't know how good we were going to be. So I did the thing that everybody does. You Google all, when the internet came out, you know, I'm Googling all the Elton John. I said, okay, I was as good as that. Okay, I'm as good as that. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. I haven't seen anybody that if there was people that were way better, probably wouldn't have done it. But I'm like, I don't think anybody can touch us. So we started playing, and Las Vegas, we got asked to play the Elton John Convention in Vegas, and we play Atlantic City, and now we're regular in Chicago, and it's like all these places say, you guys are like the best Elton John thing we've ever seen.
That's
like,
great.
So
man.
that's how it's happened.
I'll tell you, like I said, when we were first hooked up with Dave the Bookie, I like saying that all the time. Like it sounds dirty. It sounds dirty or illegal, you know. So you know, hooked up with Dave with Ron's publicist people and himself, and you know, when I first knew of you guys.
Yeah.
And I looked at some of these videos. When I say electrifying, I mean it is totally electrifying.
Yeah.
I mean this performance tonight at Penn's Peak, Elton Rohn and the Premier Elton John tribute is no joke, man. Totally no joke. We're getting all kinds of threads here. It's like, man, I'm so bummed I didn't get tickets. You can get tickets at the door, man.
Yeah,
Robin,
yeah.
you can get up there. Yeah, there are tickets.
It's a big
available.
place.
So,
It's a big
yeah,
place.
it's a big place. So get up there. You can get your tickets tonight for this this band at the Peak, and you will not, at least if not over a 2-hour performance, which is going to be absolutely amazing, man.
There's pockets of magic that happens in the show where you sit back. And it's exactly the feeling I got when I was in the seats watching Elton back in the 70s. And that's what we try to get. And when we hit it and we get into that pocket and the audience feels it, it's like they come up to me afterwards and they said, I had chills listening to you sing this song. It was so close. Yeah, and that's what we try to get every day.
Is it all you on stage?
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
else?
100% live.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And you know what?
A lot of people, you know, when you get into
tracks.
things, and there are tracks. There are tracks.
I will never play the tracks. I guarantee everyone, everything you hear from us is 100% live. I just had that conversation with my agent the other day. He was saying about this other band he's working with, and I said, I listened to them, and I said, they sound pretty good for just those couple guys on stage. And I said, I don't know. And sure enough, there's the laptop with all the things going on. I said, all these bands are track bands.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong if you want to make a living with tracks.
No, right.
But the difference that I'll say to people is when you come and see us, and we're playing Saturday Night Sorry for Fighting, and the crowd's into it, I can make that song go 3.5 minutes, or I can extend it 7 minutes if the band's really cooking. And you can't do that with tracks. Every night that song's going to be 3 minutes and 42 seconds, and it ends.
Right.
With us, you can tell we're live.
Yeah.
You can tell. And I have pretty much on almost all the songs, I give the band a signal when I want to end, or when I want to go to a chorus, or when I want to. We know each other that well now that we can play off each other, and we'll revamp into the bridge back into the chorus or whatever. Like I'll give them a signal or a whistle or something, and that's the way Elton did it back in the day. I mean, nobody in the 70s played the tracks.
No, and when you see, and if you watch some original footage from Elton John, and I know this from watching him, and a little bit, don't know much, but after 35 years, I know a little bit. Anyway, you see him on stage, you know, and when his hand went up, you know, at different, and you would know. I mean, that was either going into another song or going back to the bridge, and you can see that when that hand went up and he did some things. That was a signal to his band.
We do the same thing.
Yeah,
we do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I like it that way. I don't ever want it to go away from that. If I had to play the tracks, I think I would die of boredom. You know, I'd maybe be able to do it for a couple of nights, and after a while, I said, "Oh my God, do I have to do this again?"
Yeah.
You know, you turn the click track on, you hear it starting. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I have to play live. And even if the tempo, like the original Elton John shows in the 70s, a lot of times they were fast. I mean, that was back in the drug days. He was higher than a kite.
Oh yeah.
So some of his songs were way too fast when you watch these YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But it was still magical.
Oh yeah.
And they were playing.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we try to get it as pretty close to the tempo as we want. We try to get it like the album.
Right.
But sometimes we play a little bit faster, and it just has a groove to it that we didn't have the night before. We'll do something a little different way. You do a song like I guess that's why they call it the blues. Well, you can play or say sad songs, which we don't play very often, but sometimes you can do a fast version or you can do a slower version. You know, like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is a song you have to play it in the right tempo.
Right.
But Benny and the Jets, sometimes if it's a little quicker, it has a different feel
Yeah.
than when you slow it down. So every night it's a new experience.
And
playing
how about the writing capabilities between the
Oh.
two of them? I mean, it was phenomenal.
I mean, when I write my songs, I generally
Bernie and Elton together, it was amazing, right?
I play the music first, and then I try to fit words into it. To be able to take someone's poetry and sit down and play chords and make sense of it into a song, almost every writer in the world, McCartney, all the best writers say, yeah, I usually come up with the melody first, and then I start starting words. Elton always had words in front of him, and then crafted something to the words. That is so hard to do.
Oh yeah. Right.
And he had like 7 #1 albums in a row in like 5 years
Yeah.
doing that.
Right.
He's like beyond a genius.
Yeah. No, it's
He's up there with the Beethovens of the world. You know?
Yeah. It's the talent there is you don't realize. You just don't realize. It's amazing.
Yeah, like his 4th or 5th best record is like another artist's best album of their career.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Captain Fantastic is like in this top 3.
Yeah.
If anyone else recorded Captain Fantastic, they'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
He does, everyone says Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Captain Fantastic. You look at Madman Across the Water that's got Levon and Tiny Dancer and all the album tracks like Holiday Inn and Indian Sunset and everything. His writing was, he and Bernie was
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I don't know anybody. I mean, other than Lennon and McCartney, I don't know. They're probably right beside him.
I would,
You know?
I would most, I'd stake that.
And
claim.
here's the thing. I'm working in the record industry. I'll say this: Lennon and McCartney had George Martin, and Elton and Bernie had Gus Dudgeon, and the value of a good producer,
Absolutely.
someone who can take your ideas and take them to that next level. When that happens correctly, you get Sergeant Pepper.
Right.
You get Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Right.
The importance of a good producer
Absolutely.
can never be understated.
Mm-hmm. No.
And you see the best producers in the world, Daniel Lanois with U2 and all that, and you see what they've done with artists. They're completely most of them are underrated.
Yeah.
Like they're every bit as important as the artist.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Elton Rohn, the Premier Elton John tribute, and we'll take a quick break. We'll keep running it wide open on Facebook Live. And listen, even talking to Ron here. I mean, we could go on forever, but till Leave It to Stuber gets them back up there till they get ready and everything else.
When's the sound check? I think we're at 2 o'clock. What time is it?
Yeah, it's like 1:35. Yeah.
So really, I gotta be there for 2 o'clock sound check.
So we're gonna bring it all full circle here. And listen, he knows all the cops, so he can. You can get him up.
I
there
gotta
pretty
figure
quick,
out your damn. What is it called? The next
the turn
pass. Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus! Last time I got here, I got hit with a $55 thing for your turnpike. I gotta
Really?
Figure out how to use it.
Listen, that's what.
I said I'm Elton John. The guy goes, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm Bette Midler. He said.
Listen,
Yeah.
you get any trouble. Listen, you can make sure he gets your phone number. We can get him out. You don't have to pay anything here, man. We'll take care of that. Elton John tribute tonight. Listen, we'll bring it full circle because we do got to roll. But let's do this one, right?
Excuse me.
Absolutely stellar interview. And like I said, watching the thing, I don't know when it all starts for you guys up there. My cousin, a little shout out to the Peak crew and everybody up there. Great venue. Dustin Rarick is my cousin who does.
Isn't he a son, man? I think
Yeah.
I got an email from Dustin.
Yeah, you got probably an email from Dustin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's totally on point. He's been doing it. His family's been doing it a long time as well, and great guy. So a little shout out for Dustin. You go back and watch
Great.
this. But
Yeah.
he's done sound too for Get the Let Out.
The Zeppelin.
Yeah, the Zeppelin tribute.
Yeah.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears. He's traveled with Blood, Sweat, and Tears all over the country,
That's
all over
good.
the world. He has. So like you're in great hands.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, they have great artists play them, so they must know what they're doing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But this one tonight here, 2 more minutes, get him out of here. I'm right up there. It didn't take you that long. Yeah, what size shirt do we need here? What size shirt? We got t-shirts.
Either a large or an extra large.
Yeah,
Yes.
do 'em up.
I like to have room.
They're true
I've got
size.
shirts for
so
you
do
guys
the
for
XL.
at the hotel. I
No worries,
I
man.
gotta get them to you.
No worries, no
Figure out
worries.
how to do that.
So Robin, you can get tickets at the door. He will not be at Soundcheck Records. He will not be there. Elton will not be there tonight at Soundcheck Records. Great place up there with Trooper. But you just have to get to the show. It'll get underway at 8 o'clock tonight.
8 o'clock.
So doors open up. I do know about like 6, and show will get underway at 8. So get there. And
I think it's 8.
yeah, I think it's 8
I
o'clock.
think it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's 8 o'clock. I am, like I said, we'll do a real quick break, get you out of here. I figured knowing the time and knowing how they work up there at the peak, that it would be about 2 o'clock, ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm very,
Cool.
I'm very
Great.
grateful. The stories that you told, you're so humbling, and
This is
you know,
cool.
you get it, man. I'm just
That's
totally
great.
stoked for an interview to have you down here. So
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad I could come.
it's been great. Anything you do now, whatever goes on, you Atlantic City, wherever,
Yeah.
if you're close here or even not close. I mean, I've got people that are
Yeah.
pointed on that map, man, everywhere. Whatever's going on, stay in touch. I mean, if you want to do a
Well,
quick
we've already
photo,
been invited back to Atlantic City. We've already been invited back Chicago, Myrtle Beach. Everywhere we play, we get invited back.
I'm
so.
sure you'll get invited back to the peak. I'm quite sure.
I hope so. It'd
Yeah.
be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's going to be like a fantastic venue to play.
Oh, it's,
I know the show's going to be good. It's just you got to get enough people there to see it.
Yeah, well, that's it. And
Our
it's
first
always,
time in is always the biggest challenge, right?
absolutely.
No one's really heard of us.
Let me tell you, speaking of Get the Let Out, and I will do this, and they all know it, and I was doing Penn Speak Radio back in the day when Get the Let Out came in for the first time. And this is a long time ago. I don't remember how many people they brought in. And these guys up at the peak, Craig and the crew, they're well aware, you know,
Yeah.
first time in, like they get all that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know how many people they would remember, so I don't want to quote anything. But then
After that, it's like lights out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got like if you don't get them early, it's sold out. That's just
Yeah,
the way it is, you know. That's
Well,
just the way it is.
we played the Park Theater in Michigan. The first time we played it, 60 people in it. And the guy who booked us said, he goes, "Listen, guys, you guys are fantastic. I want to bring you back next year and try this again." So, you know, we were like, okay, well, let's do it.
Yeah,
We sold out, and we've sold out 4 shows in a row. There.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
I mean, once people get a chance to see whether it's Get the Let Out, like
Yeah.
when they get to see a really good band, they say, okay, these guys are good.
Yeah,
Then things start to really roll.
yeah. Then they do.
And
Right.
I think that's why we repeat so often where we repeat,
That's-
because the second time in, it's like it's easy.
That's great, man.
First time's a hard one.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
Yeah,
always.
because everyone's going to come tonight. They're not going to know what to expect, and we're just
Right.
going to knock them on their ass.
Right, that's awesome. I'm digging it, man. I am so digging it. Let's wrap it up here, Steber. You'll get them up there, man. Let's just wrap this up. Facebook Live people, get to the show. Got to tell the radio people to do the same, man. Very cool. So, Rocket Man, how it all started in that pub.
Yeah.
Long time ago, man.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Key B flat.
So, Kia B flat is right. There you go. I sing in the Kia C. Not
Okay.
really well, but we do okay. Actually, my brother, at one time, who's since passed, too young, but actually did some recording for CBS.
Really?
So, and my mother taught him everything she knows. At
Was
the
he an
piano.
artist or a writer? Or?
No, he was. He kind of like had the makings of like a Bobby Darin back in the day.
Wow.
And when my brother sang, because my brother did all big band stuff, and
Cool.
you know, sang very, very well. Like my brother really
It
sang
was in
well.
the 60s?
No, it was more in the 70s. More in the 70s. So
Oh, maybe when my dad was there.
yeah. Didn't go that far. I mean, you know, with that, but
But you know what? It's
he
the-
could have.
It's the journey. Right?
Yeah.
That's where you get all the pleasure.
Exactly.
There's people that are so talented that don't make it, and there's people that don't have talent that make it.
Yeah.
It's the journey getting there that you got to enjoy, or else
Exactly.
you'll be disappointed.
Absolutely. I don't know how to end all this except by saying, and I'm very humbled that you took this amount of time to be here. That thank you. That's
No,
and I mean it.
my pleasure.
You know, it
My
has
pleasure. I wanted
been.
to come check you guys out.
It's it was a whole lot of fun. This is
Yeah.
something we put together a couple of months ago, doing radio on the Eastern Seaboard for 35 years,
Yeah.
and you know, kind of like got this corny idea to do it, and it's
Cool.
really worked.
Good.
It has really worked to the people that listen, watch, to the new people that we have on board through Elton Rohn's fan page. Listen. You know, it would really piss me off if you don't come back Monday and listen to this show and download the phone app. That's all I'm telling you. You know, you can't just be here for just Elton
That's right.
Ron. You got to be here for
That's
the
right.
doc. and leave
That's
it and leave it to Steber.
Right, my
Or
Uber, my Uber.
your Uber driver. Leave it to Stuber on this one now. But really, he's got to be up there. Ken will have him. Ken will have him up there by 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Sound check.
Sound check.
This whole show. I mean, what people can expect. I mean, to end it here is an Elton John concert.
Yeah, it's going to be like an Elton John experience back in the 70s. So many people say, thank you for taking me back. Now I remember what it was like back then seeing Elton.
Yeah.
We do everything in the original keys. We hit all the harmonies. We hit all the high notes. We do everything Elton did in the 70s.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And did you ever meet him?
Well, here we did the Elton convention in Vegas, and the whole band was there except him. So I hung out with Davey Johnson and Nigel Olsson. And then when I worked at Sony, I ran Columbia Records, so I had Billy Joel. So Elton and Billy went on tour, and I said, damn it, I'm going on tour. So I went to 4 shows, and in all 4 shows, Elton wasn't at the sound check. Billy did the sound check, but Elton just flies in, hits the stage, right after the show, back onto the jet, and flew out. So I saw him in Vegas, Toronto, Calgary, I can't remember where it was before. And so I've been in the same room with them. I know they know about us, because Davey told me they watch our videos and stuff backstage. But no, I haven't talked to him. But I think David Furnish apparently showed up at one of our shows. Our merchandise guy in Canada said, I know it was David Furnish. He came in. I said, well, did he say anything? He says, he walked up to our merch table, took a look at every single thing on the table, and walked out. I think he wanted to make sure we weren't ripping off of Mr. Elton.
Interesting. How about it, right?
Yeah.
It has been an absolutely awesome hour, which I didn't think it was going to go this long.
Wow.
But I'll tell you what, I am very, very blessed, very humbled. I wish you continued success in only 9 short years with
Yeah.
what they've done. Those of you that are listening to this show right now, man, tonight's the night at Penn's Peak. Doors will open up, I think, around 6-ish. I think they open up, and the show is at 8 o'clock. It is Elton Ron, the premier Elton John tribute. So get there, and let's end with this one. There's so many. Let's end with this one right here. Little Benny and the Jets, man. All right. Thank you so much,
All
man.
right.
You're awesome, man.
All right.
Those of you on
Get in
Facebook
touch.
Live, we're going to knock you guys off now. You guys online, keep listening, and make it a great Friday. Make it a better weekend. Take care of yourself, your neighbors. Most importantly, take care of those kids. Come on back. Download the app, man.
Cool.
Way cool, man. Let's knock you people off on Facebook Live,
Yeah.
man. See you guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks,
Okay.
Canada. Thanks, everybody.